this method, it's like, holy cow. It really works, but it's surprising. I mean, you may go, oh, that's not surprising, but I think it's surprising. I think it's pretty darned shocking. You say, Marlon, what is it that you're talking about? And I'm getting ready to explain that to you. But first, 2 quick commercials from our sponsors, which would be myself. Number one, try mmm.pro/live, get a free buck trial of my newsletter. And try and marlonsnews.com/70K, get my free book on how I sold 70,000 plus products online. All right, so here is the big kahuna, the big thing, the big deal. By the way, hit the bell thing to subscribe. Subscribe. I mean, subscribe. Come on, dog. Hit it. All right. So I was looking at someone's a year in review the other day where they do a review of their business. And their business did more that particular year than my business. I was reading it, and there was something that really struck me. And I thought it was really interesting, and I thought I'd share it with you. They sold number of products in the say $200 to $400 price range, but they sold them on Evergreen. Now, I do not find selling that price point Evergreen to be easy, which is why I don't do a lot of it. But it makes a big difference when you do it, because you're adding a pretty significant margin, to your mid tickets. And then this particular person has a high-end coaching program, which I don't have. I may not have. I don't know if I'm going to have a high-end coaching program. I have a coaching program, but I mean, it's not like a high-end one. All right. It's $100 a month. All right. It's fasttrack.club. But, this is interesting. How do you sell these $200 to $400 products on an evergreen basis? And in studying this, now there's 2 parts to this. 3. Number one is you got to have people to see it. If you ain't got any lead flow, new customers coming into your business, you got a problem, because it's all the same old people seeing the offers, and they can only buy so much. I mean, people could argue with that. You could argue that point, but so I believe you got to have new blood coming into your business. Then number 2, the offer has got to convert. The offer's got to sell. I mean, nothing you do is going to make it sell if the offer doesn't sell. Then number 3, you have to have evergreen ways to promote your offers. For example, the description of your YouTube video. Now, in other videos, and you can go check them out recently, I did multiple videos on ThriveCart and how I'm tracking what I call marketing poles in the water through ThriveCart to see what is or is not delivering clicks and also sales. All right? Clicks and sales. So you can see what's working and what's not. Now, you got to have multiple ways to promote these $200 to $400 offers, and you got to be able to get those bad boys to sell. What I found, this is just my personal experience, is a lot easier to sell them live, the live class, than it is evergreen. And it's a bit of an interesting thing, because why would someone, they'll buy it live and then not show up and just get the recordings, but somehow they feel that has more value than buying the prepackaged version of it? Maybe because of recency of information. They feel like it's more, the information is more fresh or something. I don't know. It's interesting though. So marketing is like a set of puzzles that you have to solve the puzzles, or I more often call it a combination, but it's a set of combinations, not one combination. Business and marketing, sales, it's a set of combinations that you have to unlock for your business. And there's always new combinations to unlock, and other people figure out how to unlock them, and they sell their unlock code. And that's in this business, that's largely what we do. We sell unlock codes. So, obviously the person sells a course on the different ways they promote their evergreen offers. Now, the one thing, though, in terms of conversions, I don't know how the different methods they're actually using, other than the obvious pop-ups, email, maybe retargeting ads, maybe. But the one thing that I have identified that's important is having some system for scarcity that is perceived as being fair and ethical, meaning they can't just do a new window or a new incognito window and have the timer reload. So having some method of ethical scarcity. So that could be Thrive Architect has Ultimatum, which works fine. The difference between it and Deadline Funnels is Deadline Funnels can put the timer in the emails, and Thrive Ultimatum can't. But other than that, I believe the functionality is the same. So the idea here is, if you have if you have deadlines that you don't stick to that people can easily get around, then there's no real urgency for someone to purchase. Right? But there's multiple issues here. So one of them is, how long of a time frame do you use for the scarcity? Which program do you use for the scarcity? Do you use the emails? Do you not use the emails? How are you going to trigger the countdown to begin? Is it going to be when they click a link, or is it somehow activated just when an email is sent? I honestly don't even know if you can do that in Deadline Funnels or not. I really don't know about that. I use Thrive Ultimatum. So that's an issue, is how do you trigger the countdown, right? Because if you're triggering it by email, clicking a link in the email, it's really not the best. But it's pretty good. Like, because Deadline Funnels works and Thrive Ultimatum with IP addresses and other sophisticated stuff, even if they go to another email and subscribe, it's still got your IP address, it's still got your cache and crap. These programs are pretty sophisticated to get around. So you got to have some kind now, but there's other things you can use. Like, I have one called Countdown Dynamite, which it ain't Deadline Funnels, but it's a one-off fee. And it works pretty darn good. It's just you don't really have a lot of timer choice on it. The graphics are pretty darn limited on the thing, but it does work. And if you don't want to pay the money for the Thrive Suite with Thrive Ultimatum, you don't want to pay the money for Deadline Funnels, then maybe you want something like Countdown Dynamite. There's another one, I think, called Hero Countdown or something that some people have promoted. I'm not sure on it. All right. So you've got these things. Is how do you trigger the countdowns? Where are you going to promote these how are you going to promote these evergreen offers? You're doing it in live streams. Are you going to do retargeting? Are you doing it in pop-up? Where and how? Can you get the thing to convert? Right. So there's a lot of considerations here. I think there's a lot of considerations there. There are people that sell whole courses on this for, like, I think $1,500, something like that, just on how do you sell, or more, to be honest, $4,000. I paid $4,000 for one. How do you sell products on an evergreen basis? Because it sounds simple. Oh, it's going to get a timer. I'm going to throw it on the sales page. I'm going to mail it out. Yeah, it probably won't work. Probably you can try that deal. It probably doesn't work very well, right? I mean, that works for lower priced impulse purchases, but when you got something that's $200 to $400, it's not an impulse purchase unless you're doing with really affluent customers. So this means that the sales presentation, the value build part has got to be really nailed. If you're doing a webinar, you got to do a pretty darn good webinar to build up the value where they're going to buy that on evergreen basis. If it's a long sales letter, it's really got to be a banger, and the offer has got to be just like a slam dunk, right? I sold 150 copies, I think, of Action Grid for $1,000 just with a long sales letter, but we really nailed the offer, and it was a pretty epical letter, right? So I don't have all the answers on this evergreen thing. If I did, since people are selling it for $1,500 to $4,000, I sure wouldn't, quite honestly, put it in a free video. But I can bring to your attention, here are the questions and the issues that have to be solved. And then maybe the biggest one are the considerations surrounding a countdown timer. And how do you trigger that thing? How do you actually trigger that countdown sequence, right? So that's a lot of questions and not nearly enough answers. Like I said, I bought a course on it. I haven't been through the course. I spent $4,000. So I got to go through the course. This was back. This was not current, but I got it. A typical customer, I got it sitting on my hard drive or whatever. I got to go through the course, right? But what I can say is this definitively: if you can get $200 to $400 products selling on evergreen, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, that's a game changer for your business because you're making a lot more margin on those products. Now I know the big ticket sellers will come in and you needs a big ticket. Well, I just don't agree with that model, right? It is a model. It has its points. I mean, I can see their point on some things. Some people will buy a big ticket that won't buy a smaller ticket. They want hand holding, right? So I can see the point, but I don't think it's a good way to create a diversified business that sustains itself over time. I don't think it's a good way to build that. I believe the way to build a business with a diversified product offering that can stand the test of time. All right. Thank you all for watching today. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you on another live stream.